YouTube land. Today we're going to do story time with Tremis. We'll talk about the Bugout experiment, and following this one we'll do another one where I do a after action report on the Bugout bag, what worked, what didn't work. Let's talk about the trip. Planned for 6 of us to go 12 miles on the Black Forest Trail up in north central Pennsylvania. Not out of the realm of possible by any stretch of the imagination. So we convoyed up to the trailhead. 6 of us started hiking. Made it, I don't know, a couple miles, probably 2 miles across a major road. And from there we hit a spot collectively known as the fucking Goat Trail. Now, I alluded to it in the video. We're not talking like Afghanistan style terrain, but those movies that want to look like they're in Afghanistan, it's like that type of terrain. So we cursed a lot. It was shale. Shale sucks to walk on, for those of you who don't live someplace where there's a lot of shale. And, you know, it was a lot of up, some switchbacks, and it took a while. Really put the strain on the legs and the lungs. Hey, we're a couple miles into this. Hell of a view. But it's fucking steep.
Fucking A. Beyond steep, fucker.
I thought it felt great. That trail is now one of my favorite places in the entire state of Pennsylvania. That particular spot, the fucking Goat Trail, if you will. Well, as the arguably most fit person of the group, what do you think so far?
It's tough.
Good deal. As the arguably least fit dude out of the group, what do you think?
This fucking blows.
You heard it, fucking blows. Now, the problem was not everybody in the crew was physically equipped to do that part of the trail. And what we had then was some guys moving further ahead and some guys falling behind. How that really affected us was our schedule. We wanted to do 8 miles on the first day, camp, do 4 miles on the second day. And what we ended up doing was not quite 4 miles on the first day. We had one hiker who performed at a level that basically was like having an injured hiker. Alright, my biggest problem so far is 2 things to remember. You're only as fast as the slowest guy in your team. And because there's a big difference in the physical fitness levels of everybody in the team, that means some of us have to slow our pace a little bit. My personal problem is that in my pace to keep warm, I will lose my teammate. And if I bundle up so that I'm not so cold, I walk 5 feet and I'm ready to start stripping off layers again. So the key is to always stay moving, and I'm not able to do that at this point. So we made camp at a spot with some water. Alright, here's our camp for the night.
Where do we determine fire area?
Getting shit set up. Found ourselves some running water. Thanks to Mr. Catadin, we'll be fine. It was a fine experiment. Everyone had their shelter ideas, and you know, here they are. So we got the Alvord crew. Looks like they got themselves some military shelter halves.
Yeah.
What do you think of them shelter halves, fellas?
They're fucking heavy to carry. You want to buy one cheap?
Yeah, heavy. You definitely want to go with some
Tarp action.
We're thinking maybe the tarp is easier to carry, and then if you're sad when you in the morning, you just say fuck it and throw it in the fire. $5.
I'm with you 100%.
Well, we got someone with the tarp. If he fucking suffers miserably, we'll know that wasn't the better method.
Right.
What about you, Home Slice?
Same shit, different spot.
All right, here we're looking at Drew's setup. What you got running over here, big fella?
It's a blue fucking tarp.
It is blue, and it is a tarp.
And got myself some paracord and a figure 9 carabiner holding it up. Some Coleman tent stakes holding it down. And that's pretty much it for my shelter.
All right, we'll see how he's thinking about that in the morning.
Yeah.
Seems to be one of the favored methods at this point.
Yeah.
What we got going on over here with Jason?
Basic tarp, pulled over string, sleeping bag inside, underlayment, railing. Pretty basic, tent stakes, hold it down.
Looks pretty minimalist, but keeps them off the ground, unlike the other tarp idea.
Very lightweight.
I like it.
Threw a little tree bark underneath it, keep me off the
Some
ground.
insulation. Good deal. We'll find out in the morning how well it worked. That's it. That's where I'm spending the night. Space blanket on the ground, military sleep system on top of that. And in the morning, we did a follow-up to see how those ideas panned out. Here we are at breakfast time. What'd you sleep in, Drew?
I slept in military bivvy and jungle bag.
How warm were you?
I was fucking cold.
Fucking cold.
Mainly because I don't fit in the goddamn thing.
All right, everyone out there in YouTube land, make sure you fit your sleeping bag before you go out in the woods. We have varying degrees of success with the Oliver crew. What'd you ever have, Big Mike?
20-year-old Coleman sleeping bag. I was fucking toasty.
Nice. What about you there, young Mike?
Piece of shit garbage fucking sleeping bag I found at a yard sale that I burned at 5 a.m.
Nice. I'm gonna guess you were cold.
I was really warm when the bag was burning.
Nice.
Okay, dude. That's hardcore.
All right. For the last
I got
Oliver.
an old school sleeping bag, heavy to carry, but I can't say I was fucking cold. I was in my undies.
So was I,
Everybody needed to know that.
Nice.
You know.
Lightweight bag, it sucked.
I used the whole military sleep system completely by itself in my underwear, and it was great.
Not for us.
And notice, wait. He is much smaller than I am.
Shorter.
And you're not as wide either.
But
That was a
I have more
big difference.
length.
I had more length.
After that, we decided to get on the move. That's pretty much when we realized there was some problems. We were going to have to pick up the pace from yesterday in order to make up the time we had lost. And for those of you that have ever been on a multi-day hiking trip, that never happens. And it certainly didn't happen today either. So we get moving, and our pace is actually slower than the day before. And maybe a mile into it, probably half mile into it, we realized we're not going to make this, and we may have to spend another night in the woods. So at the 1 mile mark, we took stock of the situation, figured we wouldn't get out till 7 p.m. And at this point, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. So we decided to come up with an alternate plan. We had already gone off the trail onto a dirt road that was going to take us back to the trail and cut some of the more harsh terrain off of it because we were trying to look out for our injured hiker. At this point, we're thinking all dirt roads, and we're still not going to get out until just when it gets dark. So we decide we should probably send the more fit guys ahead to get back to the cars to drive up these dirt roads to pick up the injured hiker. Now, we're not going to leave a guy by himself. That's the plan. So everyone wanted to go to go get the cars. The problem was that there was nobody in charge. So what happened was we had 4 guys go get the cars, and the injured hiker and I stayed put. That was the second mistake of the day. What happened was the other 4 guys were not very good at land navigation, and that caused them a problem. They left their best navigator, not to my own horn, with the injured hiker. The injured hiker. Yeah, this is fucking retarded. We got one guy in the group that'll take at least 15 hours to walk back to the cars. So we sent some of the younger guys out with some of the older guys. They're looking at 6 hours themselves to get to the cars to try and find how to drive back and pick up the guy that didn't make it. So they go, and I decided to scout around a little bit. We had radio contact for a little while until the radios ran out of room. And I realized we're like almost 2 miles away from a very major road for the fucking sticks of Pennsylvania. So I radioed them and said, you know, when you get the cars, come back up this route, Route 44, and I will meet you at the corner of the dirt road in Route 44, and we'll come back and get this guy. Sounded like a great plan. Well, I waited a couple hours, and I decided I was going to go out there. And on my way, the road I thought they were going to take, that we had decided on as we were planning their escape, their rescue mission, whatever we're going to call it, it's got snow on it and not one footprint. And I thought, that's a little weird. So maybe they went to the next road, which would add probably half hour, 45 minutes to their trip, but maybe if the terrain was better, that's what they chose. Well, that road had no snow on it, but I couldn't find any tracks whatsoever, so I don't know if they took it or not. I assumed that they did. It's what I would have done. So a couple hours into this, I'm waiting out at the intersection of this dirt road and Interstate 44. So we were going to send the fast guys over to get the vehicles, come back because we were on a dirt road. We could come up and get the guy. But I didn't want to split everybody up and just leave him by himself. Well, the other 4 people, 2 faster than me, 2 slower than me, all volunteered to go get in the truck. Some of them wanted to go home and not worry about coming back. That was like 5 fucking hours ago. So we're still waiting. And I'm hearing nothing from them. So I get radio contact back to the injured hiker and say, well, I'm waiting out here, but there's nothing. So, I'm going to start going south and we'll pass each other. A worst case scenario, if they're lost, I'll get to help because civilization is south. So I wait a little longer and I start walking. So anyway, that left me staying behind, the best navigator of the group. I don't know where the fuck those guys are at. I came out to the main road to meet them, to get them back the dirt roads to the downed hiker. And 5 hours, they can't manage to walk 2 miles. So let's see if we can't find them ourselves, right? So not only do I walk my 2 miles out to the main road, now I've walked 3 more miles down the main road, the direction they have to come. Still no fucking rescue party. Fucking losers. I ended up walking 9 more miles from that point. I ended up putting 13 or 13 and a half in on the second day. This was for a 12-mile total hike, so things obviously weren't going the way we intended. And the people of Pennsylvania, they're great. 37 cars passed me. Not one of them stopped to see if I was okay, including 2 forest rangers. 9 miles into this, I passed a couple hunting cabins and fracking sites, had nobody around. I'm walking for 9 miles. I finally come across a bar. Shout out to Pat Reeder's Tavern. I think it's in Haneyville. I stop in there. I get something to drink and a phone. I call a relative and said, hey, can you come get me? So he's like 20 miles away. He's on his way to come get me. I grab something to eat. He shows up. We go back to pick up the injured hiker, who, when he hears my voice in the radio, is excited, but then he finds out that I'm not with the other group. But he didn't realize I was in a car. When I showed up in the car, he was happy. We got packed up, and now we're going to go back to the cars to see if the other group has got there or not. And via asphalt, they only had to go 3 miles. Little over, maybe 3.1 miles, if they had gone the path we thought they were going to go. So I was really concerned for them at this point. Stupid fucks. But via asphalt, it was about 12 miles, because it meanders quite a ways around to get back to where the cars were at. And we decided, well, we're going to have to call 911. We've got lost hikers in the woods. And about a half a mile from where the cars are at, or maybe a mile, we pass a rescue vehicle towing a boat. And I jokingly said, hey, those fuckers might have to turn around. And we laughed. And another half mile, we finally passed the cars that are supposed to be coming to get us. So we radio them, we flag them down. Where the fuck have you guys been? And I thought they were going to cry. They were so excited to see us, to know that this part of the adventure was over. And then they tell us their story. They totally ignored the path that I thought they were going to take, that was 3 miles. They walked out to this Route 44 and decided they were going to take a different trail and add, 3 extra miles to their trip because they were going to be on roads. Which was fucking stupid. But off they went. Well, when they take this other path, there's a sign for it. It's a marked trail. People hike this stuff. It's Pennsylvania. We have hikers here. The sign has been turned. It's like right out of the fucking Battle of the Bulge movie. So their gas line trail that needs to head directly east is now heading directly south. So they took it because that's what the sign said. At some point they realized leaving the navigator back with the injured guy was stupid. But off they went. Somehow they ended up somewhere back near Pine Creek, which is the largest body of water up in this area. And we had parked feet away from Pine Creek. We were on the east side of the creek. They were on the west side of the creek. So they were going to walk up to where the cars are. But they ran out of space that they could walk on that side of the river. So at this point it's getting dark. And they're worried about spending another night in the woods. Problem is they left all their packs with the injured hiker because they thought they could go quicker without them. That was going to be a problem for them. So one of them decided to steal a fucking canoe from a hunting camp and cross the creek. Now the creek's moving pretty good. There's a lot of snow melting and runoff. Fresh, crisp, clean, cold water. It was 30 degrees outside. They had walked on an icy road and fallen down and hurt themselves. They were exhausted. So they decided to put 4 full-grown men in a canoe that can hold like 550 pounds. With this much space between the top of the canoe and the water. Where they made it about 6 feet before they capsized the fucking canoe. They get it back on the shore. They're wet. Across the water is an old couple walking their fucking dog. They scream over, "You guys need some help?" Where they, of course, said, "Oh, God, please help us." So they said, "All right, I'll come over and get you, but it'll take me a little while to go get the car." And at this point, the story would be entertaining because they've fallen in the water and they're wet in a stolen canoe and an old couple walking their dog are coming to the rescue. While the other group that was waiting to, quote, be rescued, went and rescued themselves. Called for an extract. What comes next but the search and rescue riverine rescue unit comes cruising up the river with the lights blaring and the sirens on, picks them up, ferries them across the river where the park rangers are waiting. Probably one of them fucks that passed me and didn't stop to pick me up. Well, why is the fucking fat guy with the beard walking around the middle of nowhere? Must not be anything amiss. It's normal. And then they feed him some hot chocolate and some chili and get him all warmed up. And then they get in the cars to come back and rescue us. So, a number of mistakes were made. Don't leave the navigator parked while the people who can't navigate rummage through the woods. Don't veer from the path that you plan to take unless you can let people know that you're going somewhere different. When you're in the woods, don't follow a fucking road sign when you have a map. And don't try to cross a fucking canoe or cross a river in a canoe. They're meant to go downstream, not cross stream anyway. And please, when you decide to go rescue, don't leave the fucking pack at home, or in this case with the injured fella, so that you have nothing if you have to spend another night in the woods. Now the injured fella, he'd have been fine. He had all these backpacks full of gear. I'd have been fine. I was walking on a major road. If I hadn't got to that, there's no one at that phone, I'd have got to a phone eventually. I could have walked another 10, 12 miles and still been alright. The stupid fuckers in the woods, plan your rescue parties better. Major lesson here is when you go out in the woods, be careful who you take with you. Anyway, this is Gary from Tremis Dynamics. I'll see you in part 3, and we'll talk about what gear worked and what gear didn't work. Catch you later.
Welcome to Jason and Mike's Wonderland. It's nice to be here. Hi, Gary Marr, you jerk off.